Uh, Apologies for my system's misbehavior. I cannot control it. Okay, so that is layer mask, and we want to do something interesting with this guy now. I know we've not yet used our text tool, but click on this type tool, that C here. You have this picture, you can get it, and it's under XD pics, this picture. And I want to create a vertical text that will say dance sa. Okay. They've come for him. All right. So I want to create just emphasizing on what we have talked about. So the way I wrote this text, remember I used the okay, bro. Good night. I used the T here, and I chose vertical type. That is, you can right click to get these options. So I'm using vertical types, that it types straight downwards. All right. And I chose the word dancer, and I used the formats to make it large, the text large. That's in your properties. When you select your text, you can make it bold, increase the size, and all this other stuff. Okay. For this particular effect, I think I want to do a gradient. I don't want these things to show. So I'm just going to drag from here to here. I just want it to be halfway. I don't want it to show throughout. You ready? This is gonna be fun. Let me show you what we want to create. Oh, something that looks like what we want to create. So this is what we want to create. With the text masking stuff, we want to create this effect. It's quite interesting, right? Everything we've done today will enable us to do this. Okay. Think we are up for it? Are we good? Eddie, are you when you're, is it my system that is making that noise? No. Okay. Don't they, how they look around like, well, I'm not even touching the system. Where is it making noise from? So this is the project we want to do. This is I did it in the class, so I think I did a what is that word now? A literal design because the people I was teaching were finding it hard to remember the steps. So I had to actually write the steps down and show them the design. So I wrote this hey, we just executed the text masking effects. Okay. Procedure is simple. Mask the picture. What I mean by mine was cut out the background. Okay. It's not every time you want to do that, but sometimes it's for the effect you're trying to get. Masking the picture is good so that it will be very distinct from the one that will be inside the text, right? Then use the text, mask the picture into the text, and then we're going to now create a, a mask that will cut the picture into the text, kind of like a loop. Okay. So, are you ready? So, giving you small expo before we start, so that it will help you know what I'm doing, so you get lost. Okay, I should come. Okay. Yep. Okay. This picture is. Doesn't matter. Adding yourself your work it can do here since you don't even need to use them. Just add a solid color first on between them. Maybe like white. White is always a good one above them. Just duplicate this guy again. Just hide it. So now for him, so write your text. The text will be here. Mm. So your text is small. It will be hard for the picture to be seen. Just no, just select the text. No, come in. Choose. No, check the other. The other thicker font. Try this Matura. Let's see. Or try Impact. IMP. What's the right one? Then, uh, then you can manually. You want to increase the size manually. No, not that one. Sir. It's already high. But if you want to stretch the size, no, use your move tool. Mhm. If you drag it, it will increase generally. Hold down shift while you're dragging it. Hold down shift while you're dragging it to drag only on that side. Hmm? Yeah, okay, since you've already started typing, let's click here. Finish. But if you right click here, see here, and let's see the fonts just change. This one, yeah, looks I want you. Hmm? Where you come from? I'm in Lawrence. It was creating multiple text because you were still on the text. Yeah. Yes. Remember, like I said in that video, first thing you must do, always duplicate the layer so that once you do anything on the image, you still have a version that is not touched. Yeah. Okay, so we are good now, right? Let's go. Let's play. Okay, so, mag. So we have the text, we have the image. Hmm, let me control J this. We have the text, we have the image. So I want to make a selection first. You will notice in this picture, this white marking here is created by making a selection and expanding it before we now design. Let me come closer so we can see it. Okay, so select your your picture layer. Your picture layer is selected. Hold Control key and press this C in your text. This C in the text layer, the thumbnail itself. Hold Control and press it. You see, if you hold Control, that hand, it will show like there's a square around the hand. Then press it. You see it makes a selection around the text, but the text layer is not selected. It's doing what we did on that boy's picture where I was on another layer, but the boy's image was selected. That's what we're doing here. So I'm trying to cut out something from this picture, but I'm trying to use the shape of another layer to do that. So that's why if I, on the layer I'm cutting, I hold Control and select the thumbnail of the layer I want to cut through. So now that that C is selected, is the outcome of this where this dance is that I want to create this um, white boundary around. So let me show you how we will get that boundary. Um, you come to your select, under your select menu. Okay, so we come to modify. Under your select menu, modify. We have 5 options there. Um, in time, I will show you what all of them do. But the one we're going to use is expand. What expand is going to push out this matching ants, that's this black and white stuff from the text. Contract will bring it closer inside. Smooth will make it like all the sharp edges, to kind of round them up. and border will create a borderline around it and stuff like that. So, but what we want to do is expand. So when we click expand, the first option you will get is how many pixels do you want to push it out. Remember, we're doing layer masking, so that's why it's asking for pixels. So let me try 10. The thing is, if it's 10 is too much, I'll undo and do it again. So let's try 10. Let me see 10 for my own. For your own, might not be 10, might be less, depending on the text you are using. So let me try 10. Okay, 10 is almost okay, but this, I don't want this closure here. I want the demarcation. So let me undo and do it again. So I'm going to do 8. I think the closure is not too bad, but I don't want it to be too close. All right, let me just, um, before that, let me separate my text more. We're too closely knit. And put height. All right. Okay, so let me go back and do the. I think I'll go for, my texts are quite close. Let me go for 6. All right, 6. Okay, 6 looks fair. Yeah, in the 7. 7 is a good number. Okay, so the concept of this is letters that have a hole inside. You want to make sure the hole is still visible. You don't want the hole to be completely sealed off. And by any means, you want to try and have demarcation between the text. If it joins, it's not a problem. It does that it won't be too distinct. So we want to just have a demarcation between the text. Okay, so now with that one done, depending on what is here, depending on what is here, what colors are here, if I do backspace, oh, okay, I already have a mask there. So if I do backspace alone on my mask, notice that it is kind of just filling it up with the original image that was there. If I do Control or Alt and backspace, it's going to create a deletion that is white based on the background, the color of the background, which is white. It's going to create that white outline there because I have white as my background color. If I do delete, your image is selected and I just do delete, it's going to say, oh, smart object is not directly elected, blah, 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 blah. So, but if I'm on the mask and I do delete, it's just going to do what the backspace did and put in the picture into that gap. So what I will do for this section is Alt and backspace so that I could get the color of my background. And then with that, I can turn off the selection. That's Control D to deselect. So we should have white lines around like this. No, this section, okay. Let me undo. Okay, we've expanded, right? Good. So which one did you do? Um, let's see. Yeah, okay, you made the selection, right? So here, if you do, because your picture doesn't have a selection now, so your background is your background. It has a picture. So let's turn this up. Let's make this one a background. So this is your background color white, which is this white, right? This is the picture you are cutting off. Okay? If you do Alt and Backspace, did we make the correct selection? Okay, sorry, this is just a picture. It doesn't have mask, so just do backspace. I was saying that if you're on the mask, you do Alt and Backspace on this. But if you are just a picture, my own I did a mask before, like to do a gradient. So when you're on the picture, normally just backspace or delete. It will give you that background. The Alt and Backspace will be like reverse, so it will give you this black here. Now, if you have, like now, there's no mask, it's just your image here. So just backspace or delete. If there's a mask like this, my own before, then that's when you do the Alt and Backspace. Okay. So, Eddie, so as I've made this selection, I did I did a mask here, right? I did this gradient that it fades the parts of the text that the image is not there because I don't want that to show. So if I'm on the mask and I want to cut out this hole, if I do normal backspace while on the mask, what it will do is just put the original picture inside the hole. So let me show you something. See how here is faded, right? It's because of the fade I did. The backspace will just put the real picture back inside that hole. So only here has the real picture, here is not faded. But that's not what I want to achieve. That backspace works only if I am highlighted on the image's thumbnail itself, or let's say my image doesn't have a mask. So I can do this. Now, when I do backspace or delete, it will change this lining to the color of my background, which is this white here. So if I do backspace alone, while the image selected is going to just give me, okay, this is a smart object, sorry. So it's going to give me, uh, let me come here. Since I have a mask, let me just do it on my mask. I think I'll bring this guy in later. So if I do it here, Alt and Backspace will give me the white because I had already created a mask before for this girl here. So she already has a mask. But if it's something like this that didn't have a mask, which I'll do for the second option, I just do backspace or delete, and it will just automatically delete that one. So normally when you delete something, it's either going to give you your background color or your foreground color. So if you delete and it gives you your background color, if you alt and delete, it will give you your background color. That kind of effect. So that's why when you did that one at first, it gave you that black. No, don't worry. No, you don't. Yeah, the text not supposed to enter. It's supposed to be white, like this. So after this, just Control D to deselect. Okay. So now, remember we made copies of the image. So one of the copies, bring it on top of the, let it be on top of the text layer like this. Just turn it on, so that it kind of blocks the text layer. Let me delete layer mask. So that it's covering everything, like if there was nothing there at all. So what you should have is the image, the text, and the image again, another image, the original image again. So now this one is the one that you are clipping into the text. So right click and create clipping mask. So it will clip it into the text. So you will have it inside the text like this, but you have that demarcation of that white. The you have a text or the picture on top of your text, right? So right click on the text layer, I mean on the image layer, and create clipping mask. It will put the image inside the text like this. Uh, did you have a mask before? And no, I mean, did you have a, when you created the picture, your the let me see. Okay, you write down this guy, right? Okay. Yeah, on backspace while you are here, not here. Yes, and see your background color is black. It's supposed to be white. All backspace gives you your background color. So mhm. So no, turn it on. This here. Okay, do the alt backspace. No, that's control Z. No, I said do the alt backspace. Let me see. Black. Ah, let me see. Make selection again. Let's make the selection again. Okay, so this one is off. Let's get this guy again first. So where's the black? Okay, your picture is okay. This is text, right? So you don't need selection. But now I'm still seeing black on the picture. It's like it already had the thing already has the it already cut it on this text on this image. Because you write on the text, the black is there already. So let's delete that one. Let's bring this one back. So let's control J. Okay, so this this text is not sticking up. Make it. Let me very bold. I need something very bold so that the picture can stay inside. Um, it's next. Or something like this, like so. This guy. Why I cut it because of this no this guy to show. So that's why I added this mask and use the gradient. Oh, So with this guy selected, hold control. Right. So let's get and so let's do because I need more space. The text are too far apart. So let's do 15. Where you do that doesn't matter. That's what I can see. So now that this is second, if you are here on the mask, since you already have a mask, so alt and backspace will give you that background color. Normal backspace will give you the image itself. So Control D, yes. And then this one, now right click, put her inside the text. This is nice. This is nice. All right. So to make it a little bit more dynamic, crazy, this text layer, if you like, although it's not a by force thing. I always like saying that, but it's not a by force thing. You don't really need to do it. You can add a drop shadow, but it's not really a by force thing. Just to make it dynamic. Actually, what I would do to make this more dynamic than what we have already is the image inside. There's this picture here that is clipped inside. Okay, I can go to my effects, that's image and adjustment, and then I can do something crazy here. Like I could turn the whole picture inside the text to be black and white, or I could change the hue. Let me change the hue saturation so that you see what I mean. I can change the hue to make a different color like this. Just increase saturation just to have a different concept so that like if the text is a glass that is showing her in a different shade or different light, and then outside she is a real self, that you can do any kind of concept that's in your mind. The this thing, okay, double click on the text, the layer. You see one dialog is will open. So just change it to add drop shadow. Drop shadow is the last option down there. So in your drop shadow, you have these options here. Just select the drop shadow like this. You have these options of distance, spread, and size. Distance is the distance from the text, the shadow on the text. Distance from the text, the shadow. Spread is how it goes around the text. This. Then size is like the blurriness of the shadow. So you don't want something to be too, how will I say, you don't want it to be too strict. You just want something soft so that it will at least spell out the letters of the text. So that's kind of idea. You have this. So this is one concept. Then you can now write text here. So it will be like a magazine cover. Because in part of this our training, we're going to make magazines and catalogs. So the cover pages, you will design them yourselves with concepts like this. So we'll have things like this, maybe like a fashion magazine or a sports magazine. You're hanky. Okay, so this is concept one. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah. No, it's not on the text. It's on the image. The image inside the text is one. That's what we are changing. So, okay, so change. You see, so it's changing the image inside text. In this kind of technique, the color of your text doesn't really matter. That's why I didn't say use green text or blue text. Because this image is going to cover it, so it doesn't matter. So this is technique one. Let me show technique two. Let me turn on technique two. I created a duplicate of all of them for time. So in technique two, um, same principle, but kind of reversed. We will select the that's with the image, but we will now select the text. This technique two, what this technique two can do is a situation where the image is coming out of the text instead of being inside the text. So it looks like she's coming outside of the text. So uh, for technique two, the first thing is to make sure your image doesn't have a background. So let the image just be alone. So it's more real. So I'm going to do um, my selection and make a good selection. Just want to increase the contrast level behind the background. And then I'll just make selection, object selection. Hmm? Okay, no, there's something wrong with this. Let's, okay, no, we don't need these ones. What we need? Oh, what happened? Okay, that your other one has come out. Okay. You know, like, get back inside. Is there now. So this one is now. I think what we can do here. Let's do something. Let's expand this layer so I can have more space. Now select this too. Let's move them here so that they don't disturb the other guys. Yeah. All right. Let's always have a spare. Let me turn it off. So for this one, now I want to select the background. So I want to remove her from her background. So we use one of the selection methods. So what I like doing is when there's a lot of white, I like to make the contrast very high so that she stands out very well from the so that when I'm picking out the background, it makes the software easy to pick it, yeah, pick her out from the background. Okay, so I have some offsets here. I can now use these other tools to add them in. Let me just do something rough. No, it's not very kinky. I'm not going to be very particular for now. The since you're just trying to show something, just trying to show up something, so I won't be too particular. All right. So the way this one wants to work is I want her to dance out of the text to look like she's coming out of the text. So for this purpose, I can even put the text like this. So the text has to be behind. In the first one, the text was on top of the image first. This one, the text has to be behind the image. But the selection process is still going to be the same. I will click on the image and control and select the text to still make that marker. So the difference we will make here is this. We're going to invert the selection. Right now it's selecting the text marker, but we want to select everything else but the text marker. So that's want to invert the selection. So to invert the selection, we'll go to under select and inverse. The shortcut is Shift Control I. So what will happen is it will now shift the markers to select everything else but the text. And this is where the action now takes place. We want to clean her body away from everything, not here, but everything that is from the text inside. So I'll take my brush tool for that one, or you can use your eraser tool, any of them. So we want to clean up with the mask. I want to clean off these areas like this. I want to clean off this area. I want to clean off um, this area here. Anything that is inside the text, I can't clean it. So, but anything that is outside the text, I can clean it. So I want to make it look like she's dancing out of the text. So I want to clean up this R side too, on these sections. So basically, to make it look like she's coming out of the text. Okay. So if I shift control I again, I can do that same thing we now did before. That expand for the text. We click, let's go 8. Click 8. It was too much. Let me see 7. The 7 is fine. And so I want her to be coming out of text. Where am I on? Okay. So let me now clean off what I don't want. Anything that's within the spacing of what I don't want will be removed. I don't want it here. So this is kind of weird. Okay. Mama dancing out of her text. My brush is too high. Okay, this is the common outside. Very sure. This should show as well. Which other place should not show? Okay, this should show. This should show. So I should show. It's coming out from here. This should show. Okay, so this one shows like first one shows like she's dancing inside the text. The second one shows like she's coming outside the text. So I didn't do too much of a work in cutting her off because I was going to show you rough stuff. So now this is the one that I can now come to my text and add drop shadow to give the text a little bit more character. So this one I can go. I can actually change the concept of my drop shadow. And then because let me show you one other interesting thing I can do to this text. Because my text is a different layer from the image, a different layer from the image, I can come here, this layer, and add a adjustment layer of a basically a gradient. So let me pick something interesting. Let me pick something like this or like this. Okay. And change the angle to this way. And now I clip the gradient into my text so the gradient is only showing inside the text and she's coming out of the text. So this gradient clipping, this the same thing I was saying that you can use a basic color that covers everything, but then put it inside or clip it into another layer so that it's just that layer that has that effect. So these are two concepts or two ideas. One, she's like inside the object, or there's an image of her inside the object. The second one, she's dancing out of the shape or the object. So those are two concepts they can play around with text masking and stuff. So it's quite an interesting over everything again. The second one. Okay. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Let me use a very what? I closed the wrong picture. Okay. All right. Let me use a picture that is clearer so that I can remove the background because the concept of this one is I need to be able to clean off background. Where is that? Our girl, my favorite girl. Hello. All right. So she's not too happy. Looking for someone that's happy. This girl happy enough. What will I write here? Ellen, give me something to write for her. A caption. Woman. That was so literal. Oh Lord. Okay. Let me write the boss. Let me just write boss. Uh, okay. So I'll just increase the size of the text. Mm, okay. So let me make her come out of this text. Let me bring the text a little bit closer. Just let them touch. All right. So I need to remove her from her background. Let me create solid color, something bright. Uh, okay, so it's not a bad selection, is it? All right, so she's out of her background. Let's just say something rough. Just want to show the effects of me. Okay, so I said in the first one that we did, the text is in front. This one, the text will be behind her. So selection process is the same. While that her layer is selected, control, select this guy, the T for this guy, to make the selection. But what we want to select is not inside the text. Right now, if I do anything, is what is inside the text that will be affected. So I want to reverse the selection. So I go to select and inverse. So I select everything else but what is in the text. Now I can use my brush or my eraser, okay, to clean off. I will select the mask or any of them. So I can clean off, sorry, I'm on white. I can clean off these places here that I don't need because it's going to be like she's coming out of the text. Oh yeah, I don't need it. So I'll clean this place off too. Anywhere, clean this O off too. So it looks more real. So that's all. After that, deselect the text. You can add the drop shadow to give it some um, what do you call, give it some character. You can change your drop shadow concepts. There are different drop shadow ideas you can use up here. So you can just change to anyone that suits your what you are trying to achieve. So it looks as if now she's coming out of the text. So what I now did later on was to change the color of the text, right? I added a gradient from here. That's where we have this other layers, kind of layers. So I added a gradient level, and I'm looking for a very crazy color um, connection or correct. Let me see. Maybe that one's not. It's not sweet enough. Terrible. Let's see greens. This one's not too bad. Okay, can use either of them. Let me use this one. Then change the angle. So now it looks like it has covered my text. So that same thing I did with that picture I put inside the text, same thing I'll do with this guy. I right click and create clip max to put it inside the text. So it's, the color just goes and affects just the text but not the image. So this is the second level. You can make a picture coming out of the text. The other one is you put the picture inside the text. It's clear, right? It's good. Any other questions? You can play around, try other pictures, try other concepts in mind. I will build on this the next class, but this is typically what masking is all about. You are using layers, you are using things to hide or reveal portions of a layer. So that's what masking is all about. Technically, anytime in Photoshop you see a thumbnail, you see the next paper that's either whether it's black or white or whatever that thing is there for is for masking, for creating that transparency where you can see things or you cannot see things. So, what are 20? You're supposed to remove the background. So put a color here so that can If not, you will think you are still in the same um, scenario. Because if you remove background from this one now, and this one is here, you won't even notice. You're done. So as you select like this, you can click remove background or select subject. Either way, it will still create that mask. Okay. All right.